Pete's Dragon? It's an old Disney movie.
Like
it's basically like a
animated one.
Well, it's like a live action movie, but the dragon is animated.
Yeah.
The dragon reminded me of the big green Pete's Dragon, like from way back in the day. He looked just like him. So, oh my God. That was my first thought when I saw it.
I didn't think of that.
That's Pete's Dragon.
I'm like,
just made
you're saying that. I'm like, yeah, I've seen Pete's Dragon, and I get this mental image of that green cartoon dragon with like the pink frickin' tuft of hair. And I'm like, oh,
yeah, he's
oh
big,
man.
Big fat doofus.
We are back. Welcome to the Movie Dads podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Howie.
I'm Kyle.
That's Kyle. It feels like we haven't recorded in forever because we recorded episode number 6 early because I was out of town. So this is episode number 7 of the Movie Dads podcast. If those of you who listened to episode number 6 remember, we were going to do a big premiere movie of the week, Fast X. And I'm sure you saw the thumbnail on YouTube or you saw the title on whatever podcast streaming platform you're listening to and said, wait a minute, that's not Fast X. Kyle and I had a conversation.
It's funny, we were like, I don't think we've been on such a same page than this moment.
We didn't want to watch Fast X.
I have zero. There isn't an atom in my body that wanted to watch that movie.
There was a lot of things I would rather do than watch that movie. I mean, Listen, no disrespect to the people that like that stuff. It's not our cup of tea.
And it makes a ton of money. We know it makes a lot of money.
People watch it. You called them peasants on the last episode. Whatever. It's just not our cup of tea.
So I was like literally like typing out to Howie how much I really was going to say, I don't care about seeing this movie at all. More to say like, figure out what time we're going to go because I don't want to see this movie. And Howie texted me and was like, I don't have any interest in seeing this movie at all. And I'm like, oh my God, I was literally texting you that. Can we do something different?
The only Fast and Furious movie I saw in the theater was the very first one. That's it.
Same.
All the other ones I just I streamed or rented.
And the first one was great. It was a cool niche street racing underground thing.
Listen, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying now it's turned into this like insane, it's like XXX or like nowhere near the quality of Mission Impossible, but like what's the craziest scene CGI we can do for this one?
You know, the first movie was good. I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of it. The second one was bad. Tokyo Drift was meh. The fourth one was okay. Like they brought some stuff back. And then
was that the one where they brought back the girlfriend who had died?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I think
spoilers.
So. I'm pretty sure it was 4. But anyway, and then like they got to 5 and it was like, what are we doing? We're just going off the rails.
Yeah.
All the bad guys are good guys and nobody really dies. I mean, except Wonder Woman. I think she's still dead. I don't know, but yeah, it's just it didn't want to watch it.
Yeah, we've already talked more about it than I wanted to or thought we would.
Yes, that's fair. I know. We gave it 2 minutes of our time. But so what we decided to do is actually when we started this podcast, we almost did this movie as our first episode, but we weren't quite ready yet. So we decided, because now it's available to stream, rent or buy, early access, we decided to do Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. So we're going to treat this today like it's a big premiere movie of the week. It came out on March 31st in theaters. It's brand new to streaming, and you have to pay for it. It's like the $20 rental or the $25 buy it and, stream it on your Fire Stick or, Roku or whatever. So we're going to do our review, spoiler free. And then we're going to do our spoilery, get into the movie details. We'll give you the spoiler warning like we do with all the other ones. So we're going to treat it like it's a new movie, even though I'm kind of combining 2 episode themes. It's you have to see this movie. Big premiere movie of the week. Yeah, right. So that's where we're at. If you're watching us on YouTube, please click that like and subscribe. Leave us a comment. Follow us. We want all that. We're on social media. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Follow us at Movie Dads Pod. If you're not watching us on YouTube, you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Podcast Index. Make sure you're subscribing. Help us out.
Love it. Gosh damn.
Love it. That's awesome. So
comment. I keep getting texts about the episodes.
We did,
but there's been some that did a lot that did good. One of those people mentioned to me that I don't respond to the comments, so that's why they were like, "Well, I've commented and you don't respond, so I just texted to you." I'm like, "Okay, good point. I will start to be better with that." So
that's fair. That's good. That's great stuff. So we're movie dads. We have movie kids. So we always like to share a few nuggets. So Kyle, my wife and daughter are at a concert tonight. So it's just me and Des hanging out. And we have this kind of thing in my house where we decide, like, if everybody wants to watch a different movie, what we do is each person picks like 2 or 3 movies. And then we get a chance to like start eliminating them one by one until we get down to the final ones. Right?
Nice.
So Reagan and Des and I always do this. So it's just Des and I tonight. And he's like, I wanted to watch Star Wars. We ended up watching we ended up watching Phantom Menace. He'd never seen the Phantom Menace. So
let me guess. He thought Darth Maul was super cool.
He did. He thought Darth Maul was super cool. He had a lot of questions about the little kid in the movie. Lots of questions. He asked if Luke Skywalker was in it. He said no, but his parents are. And then nice. he goes, so is it still a kid in the second one? I said, no, he's grown up a little bit. And so nice. He has no idea, obviously, who Anakin becomes. And I think him and I now have to watch 2 and 3 soon.
Yes,
so that he can experience that.
Did he ask what metachlorians are?
No, I think he was talking to me through 90% of the movie. So I'm sure he missed that part of the movie. I mean, but I listened intently because every time I watch that movie, I listen to that explanation intently.
Yep.
It's just
at the age for me when that movie came out, I wasn't someone that would get upset. Like I didn't walk out of that going, "Oh my God, the Force are metachlorians." They've just gave it a scientific, like factual basis, like the Force is ruined. Like, get out of here.
Yeah, it's microorganisms, whatever. Get out of here.
Yeah, whatever you want to say. So
yeah.
Qui-Gon is one of, if not the best Jedi of all time. So whatever he does goes.
It is when you watch it and it's like, man, we've talked about this before, but they killed Qui-Gon and Darth Maul.
Man,
I know Darth Maul's not really dead, but they haven't brought him back yet, really. So
looking back, I think that the powers that be at Star Wars, they know they messed up by like, ooh, those were such good characters that we should have done more with. So anyways, for my kids, I know we did an episode talking about Super Mario, the movie, but it is now out on streaming. And when we went, it was just me and Grayson and then you and Des. And so Parker, my middle child, who's 3, has not seen it. So he did not want to watch anything different than the normal YouTube Ryan, crap that he usually wants to watch. So he threw a temper tantrum for the first 5 minutes, like was screaming like crazy, like losing his mind, while Stephanie, my wife, and Grayson were like watching. Grayson is trying to tell Stephanie every single thing that happens in the movie because he's that person. He's like, I've seen it, so I've got to tell you what happens. but literally as the little penguins at the beginning came out and they like kung fu started like trying to fight Bowser, Parker went from like crying to like just like locked in. So
Yep.
they really liked it. They liked it a lot.
Super focused. It's a great kids movie.
Yeah.
I haven't bought it yet, but definitely something I need to do here soon. So
yeah, it's freaking good. So
excellent.
Cool.
That's good stuff. Oh, one more note I wanted to tell you because I mentioned this either in episode 1 or 2, but I bought it, Kyle. X gonna give it to you.
Oh, let's go. Look at that shirt.
DMX and the Professor X chair, man. I love it.
That's great. I just went with the old classic Lionheart here. So
yeah,
I've noticed I just wear plain tees in this thing. So I got to start like switching my game up. I need to bust out my old. I've got a Ninja Turtle shirt that's literally it's like a paper. It's a green shirt with a paper shredder, like an office shredder, but it's in the shape of a shredder helmet with
nice.
With a like it's just one sheet of paper going through the shredder, and there's a turtle on the paper getting shredded, so it's kind of cool. But
that's
anyways,
awesome.
I just gave way too much detail about a t-shirt. Let's jump into the segment that gets me the most excited each week, our 6 to midnight. So lots actually to talk about this week. Lots of stuff came out. Howie, yours is going to cover some of the things that I wanted to talk about, so I'll let you kind of jump into those. But for me, I'm just going to use one of the things that kind of dropped was we've been talking about Hellboy kind of briefly here and there on a few different episodes, kind of with how much we liked the Ron Perlman one and how much we wanted more of that, and that we wanted a reboot of the David Harbour one because it didn't do well. You thought it was a bad movie.
I recently watched it. I watched it again recently. It's better than I remember the first time I saw it. Still not a good movie. But like I said on movies that I want a sequel for, I would like to see more of that, though. I would.
Yeah. Well, I was a fan of the David Harbour movies or movie.
Absolutely.
I was,
and it wasn't his fault. None of it was his fault.
I agree, and I think they did better in that movie being more obviously adult comic book. Like there was a lot of gore in it, like dismembering of people and stuff, bad guys and stuff, which is more common in the comic. Not that the Ron Perlman movie wasn't comic book accurate, because it was, but it was like a PG-13 kind of kid movie, so they couldn't really dive fully in. Anyways, what recently just dropped was they just finished filming a new Hellboy movie that I don't think anybody knew about. Like I hadn't seen anything on it. It was like when it dropped and I got on kind of my feed, all of a sudden I had like 20 different kind of nerd avenues were dropping news of like the new Hellboy movie just dropped. So it is supposed to be a lot smaller in terms of like scale. So smaller, more intimate movie. It's on basically it's a short story or short comic book series. It was a 3-episode series called Hellboy and the Crooked Man. It's based, at least the comic book, I can't speak specifically for the movie, but it's based on it's like the 1950s. They're up in the Appalachian Mountains. It's really leans into like the horror, scary, creepy vibes. And so from what they had said about this movie, that's really what they're going for, is they want to get more into kind of that really kind of scary horror movie type vibe where you're like on pins and needles the whole time. So I like that. I'm excited. Like I want to see in the book, there's it's very like there are ghosts and stuff in the mountains. The Crooked Man is basically like this devil that runs this specific region of the mountain called the Hurricane. It's like a place on the mountain that people, they don't go because you'll get taken by the Crooked Man and his people. So it's like the book was really scary. I mean, it's a short little story, but I'm excited to see them turn that into a movie. I think it sounds awesome. So I went from being like, give us freaking Hellboy to you're getting a Hellboy movie. So, I mean, did you see anything on that or have any kind of thoughts there?
So I had read some stuff when we were doing our list for movies that I, to make sequel movies that needed a sequel. I did a little bit of reading up on the David Harbour Hellboy, just, and I think I sent you a couple things, like Neil Marshall, who directed it, was like, the script was terrible.
So it was, this was the worst movie of all time.
It's not on my filmography. It's that bad, right? Like, he basically said that. But there was a little bit in there that said they had talked about doing a, like, lesser known actors, lower budget, kind of another reboot on Hellboy. Just chatter. Like, that's all I could find. I didn't see anything about it. And then all of a sudden we get all this news that the movie's done. It's wrapped filming. I mean, I would assume, based on that, they'll do special effects and whatnot. We might see that this fall.
Yeah. I was gonna say, from what I saw, it's supposed to release this year before the end of the year. So
October would be ideal for a movie with that kind of tone.
Bring it on. I want it. For the most part, I was really like diving in because they didn't have really much detail at all on like the actors or anything like that. So I was trying to figure out, like, wait, is this an animated movie or a real movie? Because they have also talked about like doing a Hellboy movie, like an animated movie, and how that would be something I would watch. So
absolutely, yeah, I'm with you.
But it's live action, so we're getting live action, creepy, scary, small scale Hellboy,
and it will be rated R. I mean, they confirmed it's going to be a full on horror movie. So, I mean, that sounds exciting. I'm excited for that. When I was coming up with my 6 to midnight for this week, I kind of went back and forth on a couple things. It was the slow beginning to the week on news. The Hellboy news kind of came out, and then like the middle of this week, we got like a bunch of trailers, like, dropped on some. So I decided I was going to do like a trailer roundup. So I'm just going to go through some of the ones that kind of got me excited this week. I'm a Disney guy. I like Disney. Haunted
Wait, can we stop for a second?
Yeah.
You said you like Disney.
I do like Disney.
We need to give a. We say farewell to the Galactic Star Cruiser. She lasted 1 year at Disney for $5,000 for 2 nights. You could live in the Star Wars world. And now it's sailing its last voyage.
That did not last very long. I just know, experimental hotel immersion kind of deal. I mean, I guess they forgot that most Star Wars fans live in their parents' basement and couldn't afford it. So,
hey, I live in my own basement. Okay?
I live in my own basement.
But I would not be able to just drop $5,000 for that 2-night stay.
No, that's a tough pill to swallow. I mean, if I had $1 billion, I'd do something like that, but I don't. But so, trailer roundup, Haunted Mansion trailer dropped. I love Haunted Mansion at Disney World. I think it's great. They made an Eddie Murphy movie based on the Haunted Mansion. Wasn't very good. It was kind of cheesy. This looks a lot scarier. The cast looks awesome. Excited for that. Trailer looks good.
It's gotta be scary.
It looks scary.
The ride is like scary.
The trailer looks that way. Like, it has the right tone where it's dark, it's spooky, but at the same time, like, kids could probably watch it, but it's PG-13. So, I mean, it's going to definitely have some stuff in there. We got a new trailer for Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. That movie looks awesome. I mean, Mission Impossible looks, those movies they're great, right? Like, after they they are getting better. Each one gets better, which is wild. That just doesn't happen. Killers of the Flower Moon. We've talked about that movie before on here. We got a teaser trailer. Doesn't talk a lot about the movie, but boy, it looks intense, right? Like, period piece, De Niro, DiCaprio, Scorsese, man, let's go.
Those 3 names take my money.
Exactly. Then we got I don't know if you saw the Five Nights at Freddy's teaser trailer. Did you see that? They're making out of the video game.
I did. I did.
So it's not much. I mean, I'm sure people will want to see it. I'm sure I'll see it. It looks okay. We'll see.
As a dad who has, a 7-year-old,
Yeah.
that those YouTube shows are usually the ones that like I'll catch my son on, and I'm like, this is like nightmare fuel. You cannot watch this stuff. So
right.
So for me, when I saw that movie was coming out, I'm like, my son better not freaking see the trailer for this thing because I'm not going to it. So, anyways,
and
I'm not a fan of the series. So
I'm not super familiar. I mean, I know about it and I know the details, but not super familiar. And then the trailer that got me the most excited this week, and I hadn't heard a lot about this movie until I saw this trailer, and I was completely wowed and floored by it. I sent it to you. You didn't say anything back, so I don't know if you watched it. The Creator with John David Washington.
I don't think I did watch it. I didn't see. We're usually going back and forth with 17 things. Tell me what the trailer is about.
So basically, it's basically kind of got this Terminator vibe. AI has taken over and decides it's supposed to be protecting people, and it like drops a nuke on Los Angeles, right? So then like people have to go, there's like, it looks like a squadron. They have to go find the source of like the AI, and it's a child. It's like an artificial intelligence child. It's not a human, but it looks human. And like, they're supposed to destroy it. And it kind of looks like John David Washington like takes it, but because he sees it as a child and doesn't want to destroy it. I don't know enough about it, but the trailer like floored me. Looks amazing. Cool concept. The visuals are, it's the guy that did Rogue One, Gareth.
Yes, let's
go. Yeah, and you got to watch the trailer though. Like the trailer is perfect tone. It looks amazing. Super excited. The Creator, and I like John David Washington. I think he's awesome. Apple hasn't fallen very far from that tree for sure. Black Klansman, he was great. Tenet was great. It's a wild movie. He's awesome.
So, fun fact: I actually know. Well, I don't know him, but I knew him and had met him multiple times back when I worked for the Sacramento Mountain Lions. It's actually because of him. That was how I met Denzel Washington. Because he played
name drop.
Well, I mean, I don't know either of them, and to be honest with you, he was kind of a jerk.
Don't ruin
it's like
that.
blasphemy for saying it. So, kind of I'm this guy. I'm going to go where I want. I don't need a ticket or security. It's like, okay, bro. But he played football for the Sacramento Mountain Lions. He was a running back, and he was a stud. So it's really interesting to see him going from like just this football player who didn't really talk much and like triple XL gym shorts and a wife beater all the time to now being like on like Oscar movie nominated actor. Yeah. It's kind of dope.
But watch that trailer. Like anybody watching this podcast, if you didn't see the trailer for The Creator, go find it on YouTube. If you like sci-fi and action, it knocked my socks off. The trailer did. So pretty exciting.
Honestly, you had me at Terminator. So
yeah, the whole Skynet, like AI, humans are bad. Let's kill them. I mean, it feels overplayed, but it looks really, really well done. So pretty excited about that one.
Can't go wrong with it. So what else? All right. What else we got?
That was it for 6 to Midnight for me this week. Trailer roundup. I was pretty excited.
Hello, trailer for new Mortal Kombat 1 reboot that just dropped. I mean, we talk a lot of Mortal Kombat here.
We do. We talk a lot about video games. Yeah. I even after this trailer came out, I went back and kind of looked at, like, I couldn't remember the ending for Mortal Kombat 11 and kind of how it all ended. But yeah, basically like
Liu Kang it ended and they kept the same. They didn't come out with a new game, but like a year later, they dropped a DLC. That was essentially like its own new game story.
Yeah.
So there's a lot, but like they were pitching this as it's a reboot or it's a reboot. It's Mortal Kombat 1, but then all of the characters and Liu Kang being like an elder god are still a thing. So I'm interested to see.
To see how it plays out. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it's going to, it was very Mortal Kombat.
Yes.
It was very much what we want. Yeah. I get a vibe that's going to be like Dr. Manhattan and the Watchmen and like DC Rebirth and stuff. Like maybe Liu Kang is like resetting his own world and he wants to do that. So who knows?
That's the vibe I got from the trailer. So
yeah, I think it looks good.
Oh. Yeah, good one. So that was 6 to Midnight, which takes us into our you need to see this movie. Big premiere movie of the week. Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. Because it is a newer movie, like I said, we're going to do spoiler-free review, and then we'll give you the spoiler warning so you can skip ahead to the There Can Be Only 5 segment, which follows the movie review. So
it's D&D. No, Tenacious D.
No,
Do you not?
No, it's good. No,
it's Jack Black. He's a Dungeons and Dragons song.
I love it. It's great.
Actually, no, that's not Jack Black. There.
Oh man,
I can't think of. There's a singing comedian, and he has a D&D song. In a follow up, I will tell you who it is because it's.
I'm not familiar.
I'll text it to you.
All right.
Anyways, let's move on.
My initial thoughts on this movie, spoiler free. When the trailers first came out, I was like, man, that looks dumb. And I couldn't help but think of like the 20-some-year-old D&D movie with Jeremy Irons. Like, oh, that's dumb. Now, I've never played Dungeons and Dragons. Neither of you. We have a very basic understanding of how the game works, right? I know some of the characters and things like that. We talk, Demogorgons, and there's whatever. We talked about stuff like that. We know the classes of the characters and things like that.
Yeah.
I went and saw this movie when it came out. Like I said, this was something that we thought about doing on our first episode, but we weren't ready yet, so we didn't do it.
And we weren't sure if this, we didn't. From the trailer, even though my wife thought the trailer made it look amazing, I thought it looked just like you said, like one of those like random reboots that no one cared about, like the Robin Hood one that came out with Taron Egerton. That it was kind of a decent movie, but I was like, yeah.
I've never seen that. I never saw that movie.
Well, it's definitely not Dungeons and Dragons quality, so I'll say that.
So this movie came out, and I was like, well, I'm going to go see it. Because I go see most movies, not Fast X, but I said, I'm going to go see this movie. And I was so surprised at how good Dungeons and Dragons was. I saw it twice in the theaters. I bought it right away to stream as soon as it came out. Des and I watched it when it came out. It's got a fantastic tone. It's very adventure. It's very funny. It's got a lot of content. The different classes. You go to like different places in the kingdom. You see underworld, and you see the forest, and you see all this different stuff, right? There's dungeons, there's dragons, there's even like a full-sized human game in this movie. It's extremely well done. And again, like the characters are all great. I mean, we Chris Pine's the main character. He's the bard / like thief / harper. Good. So he's really good.
Chris Pine can do no wrong. Chris Pine is give me more Captain Kirk. He's so good.
You're pretty well right there. But yeah, anyway, initial thoughts on this movie were I was very surprised at how good it was. There's one huge cameo in this movie that like you're like, is that? And and yes, it is. But yeah, I really liked it. You didn't get to see it in the theater, but you just saw it the other day. We watched it together.
It's awesome.
What were your thoughts on that?
I thought it was awesome. I, like you, thought that it looked like another random franchise that people were trying to start that I would have no interest in. Obviously, I love me some Chris Pine. Captain James T. Kirk is the man. So he was like the one redeeming factor that I was like, I'll watch it. And then also you texting me like the second you walked out, you were like, holy shit, this movie was awesome. And so within like the first 5 minutes, I looked over at you and was like, I fucking love this. And I kept kind of pointing out like, oh my God, that's totally this. I felt like it was a movie. It was like Skyrim meets The Witcher, the movie. It was kind of the vibe I got in terms of like, in Skyrim, there's a lot of like guilds, like the Thieves Guild and stuff. And obviously I know that's really big in Dungeons and Dragons. So it's it's supposed to be like that, not like Skyrim. But for me, my Dungeons and Dragons is Skyrim. And so
what you know.
for sure. So like them talking about being a part of different guilds and a part of different, like I forget the name of the original group that Chris Pine was in before he got in trouble and turned into a thief.
The Harpers.
Yes. Like I thought all of that was awesome. I loved the characters. Everyone felt very unique. I think they did great with the actors they picked for these roles. I think the wizard, is he technically a wizard or a witch or a mage?
Whatever. Sorcerer, yeah. I think they call him a sorcerer, yeah.
He was kind of like an underrated character for the movie. Like I didn't know who that actor was or anything. I thought he was awesome.
That's Justice Smith.
He was funny. He played a great kind of reminded me of like Chucky from Rugrats. Like he was like really scared to do anything, but was also great. So
yeah,
I enjoyed it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, no, for sure. It was. The cast I thought was really good. Michelle Rodriguez is like the barbarian was
badass.
Was dead on. Like she did that great. Hugh Grant's character is like the scoundrel turn, his character was really well done. Hugh Grant's really he overacts a lot, but he's also very entertaining on some of the things. But I like the story. Reggie Jean Page is in it. He's the paladin. His character, they're all great. They all do a great job. They nail their characters. They nail the, because like I said, again, I haven't played Dungeons and Dragons, but I know what bards are, and I know what barbarians are, and I know what paladins are, right, from different games and different things like that. And I thought the way they encompassed the characters was great. The way they just, I believed it. It was awesome. So, any other thoughts on that before we?
It's a fun movie.
Yeah.
Go see it. You will enjoy it. So
I agree. Go see it if you haven't seen it yet. If you want to rent it. It's still in theaters too. So yeah, definitely would recommend to go see it. So let's go ahead and say spoiler warning. If you don't want to hear anything about Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves,
get out.
Get out.
Get on out.
Listen, the story in this movie I thought was awesome. Like you get the very like we have to go get this item so we can solve this task, and then there's double cross, and the prison break at the beginning is just it's fucking awesome, right? Like the whole thing's cool, and they set the tone for the movie right away. Like you're in this prison, like they walk in. I don't know, it's like an orc they're bringing into the prison. He gets to be a cellmate with Chris Pine and Michelle Rodriguez's character. Chris Pine's all happy-go-lucky. He's knitting mittens. He's telling the guy, like, that's the bucket we pee in, like, give me the tour.
And then, it freezes.
And then he comes on to Michelle Rodriguez and she like breaks his knees and knocks him out. And you get
while Chris Pine doesn't miss a beat.
Doesn't miss a beat.
So I also like that was a great opening scene because they did a really good job of like showing just the set of the prison. It just looked like that opening scene kind of set the tone for me of like, okay, I know I'm going to like this movie because the orc looked badass. It was not CG, at least the orc wasn't. And
right.
That was cool. And obviously when they break out of jail, it's kind of funny because it's very clear that he talks his way out of, his, his parole, like that he could get out. And he thinks that he's not going to get approved to get out. So as they like literally go to approve him, he like grabs one of the workers and who is a hawk.
Yeah, a big bird man.
Some type of a bird man. Jumps right out of a window and they fly away and breaks out. And that was an awesome. That really set the tone.
It was cool too because he's like basically given the reasons why he's in prison and why he should be let out, and he's telling the story of why
he's giving you the backstory.
Yeah, he gives you the whole backstory like in the first couple minutes, and it's really well done how they do it. It's not just like an opening crawl, It's not just like you're reading the backstory. Like he's telling the story. You get clips. You get kind of see why he's there, who he was before, and why he's the thief that he is. So, man,
and he does it with like Chris Pine's.
Yes.
His pizzazz, and he's just funny. So it's very funny.
You were right too about Justice Smith as the sorcerer. Like he hasn't been in a ton of stuff. I mean, I think of like Detective Pikachu. He's the main character in that. But
Oh yeah, because Ryan Reynolds was Pikachu.
was Pikachu, right? So he's the main human character in that. But he hasn't done a ton of stuff, and I thought he was really good too. Just you really believed that he had no confidence in himself whatsoever.
Yes,
You bought that wholeheartedly.
Totally. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think that they did a good job with like just the magic in general. Yes. CG, like there's like a Beast Boy type character that can like morph into different animals that just looked cool. There's a scene kind of earlier on.
She's a druid, right?
That's probably the Dungeons and Dragons version of it, but she's running through like basically like is eavesdropping as a fly, and then she's trying to basically run out of the castle and out of the lower castle city and to get out. And as she's doing that, she's changing into different animals. I thought that was a cool scene. Like that looked that was very unique. It's a lot of fun too.
Yeah, the bad guy, the Red Wizard, she was really good. I thought her character was really creepy. I don't know who that actress is.
Super creepy.
Super scary. Creepy. Yeah, scary. Like her in the way she's like working with Hugh Grant. They're gonna get all the people together in the Coliseum to watch these games, and then she's gonna turn them all into zombies and like take over. That's basically.
She looks terrifying. She looks like it's such a contrast to like the fun, goofy actors and characters that are in, and then when she walks into the room, it's as if like the girl from like The Exorcist walks in the room, and you're just like, oh, like please leave. You're scary. Get out of here. So.
Yeah, you're dead on. Like each character is very specific. Chris Pine's like you said, the happy-go-lucky, kind of sarcastic, humorous bard. Michelle Rodriguez doesn't make a lot of jokes intentionally. She's almost like Drax, where she's like unintentionally dry humor jokes, kind of that she just says dumb stuff that's funny, but that's the way she is. Justice Smith,
just like Drax. Everything is a dinger. Like every time she says a one-liner, I'm like, it hits. So
she did turn into a deer. I mean, I thought stuff like that was it's pretty funny.
Great.
Justice Smith was great. Like we talked about, the girl that was the druid, very very no humor, very kind of just let's get the job done. I felt bad. I think she was kind of a throwaway character. I mean,
I agree.
I'm
she
not
was like Irish or Scottish or something, right?
Yeah, I don't. She was the girl that was in It. She was the girl in It.
Oh, that's okay. So I recognized her from that. That's
so. I don't know if it's the way they wanted her to play that character. Kind. Yeah. She was the young Beverly Marsh, right? Yeah. She played that character kind of wooden.
Yeah, because I think that's like that they wanted her to be because she like.
I think so too.
Because the wizard's supposed to have a crush on her, and she's supposed to be like, I don't even remember you. I thought, honestly, the biggest thing I took away, at least early on in the movie, was like, I know Chris Pine is playing a bard, so that's probably why it hit exactly. But he reminded me so much of Dandelion from The Witcher.
Oh,
not
okay,
just, not just the show, but like the actual game. Like all I could think was like, God, he would be the perfect Dandelion. Like he needs to be in the Witcher series. So or a movie if they do one.
He did play that really well. Yeah, Hugh Grant I thought was great. Like he's a great actor. He's funny, and at the same time he does kind of give you that sleaze bag kind of,
Yeah, he did great playing.
Hugh Grant's kind of a sleaze bag, I guess, but.
Yeah, his character, like he is very believable as the double cross, as him being like the good guy early on. I'm like, oh, cool, like that's great partner in this movie. Yep. Like I like him.
Good for him.
And then yes, yeah, and then when he like switches over, like laughingly, jokingly, like no, like I'm a better father than you, and she needs to be with me, but. Here, have some tea. This is scalding hot. This tea is scalding. Like multiple times as they're like talking about how, hey, Chris Pine, you were a bad father and you left, and I've been the dad to your daughter that you're not. He like multiple times goes like, God, this tea is so hot. Why is it scalding? Like, I thought that was really funny.
Yeah,
so
he did a really good job. The acting was great overall. Reggie Jean Page is the paladin. Like he shows up kind of like the group's already
later.
established. They need him. He's almost like overpowered, right?
He's a badass.
Yeah, he's a badass.
He's kind of like a Jesus character. Like when they first meet him, he's like walking through all like high and mighty and just like touching random people to save and help them and heal them.
He saves a child. Like the first time you see him, he saves a child from a fish ate this child and he saves it like immediately.
There's this full animal boy out of a fish mouth. I will say when they're in Hades or hell or the underworld or whatever the technical
I think they call it the Underdark.
The Underdark.
I think that's
when they're there and those assassins come in and they have this badass battle. That was fucking dope. Like that fight was cool. It was very like Darth Maul, Duel of the Fates, like flipping and very high level fight scenes that I actually thought was great.
Yeah, it was really good. And then the dragon shows up, so you kind of get that dragon chase. But the dragon's like morbidly obese, like can barely walk.
He's got these huge chubby cheeks, and he just belly slides all the way down the mountain.
Which I thought was a hilarious touch, right? Like, I had never seen that before. But that whole scene was cool. And then Reggie Jean Page is like, bye. I'm not in the rest of the movie till the very, very end. So. Yeah, it's cool. The end battle's cool too with the witch and stuff. That's cool.
Did you ever see the movie? I think it's called Pete's Dragon. It's an old Disney movie.
Like
it's basically like a
animated one.
Well, it's like a live action movie, but the dragon is animated.
Yeah.
The dragon reminded me of the big green Pete's Dragon, like from way back in the day. He looked just like him. So, oh my God. That was my first thought when I saw him was like, oh my
I didn't
God,
think of that.
That's Pete's Dragon.
I'm like,
just made it.
You're saying that. I'm like, yeah, I've seen Pete's Dragon. And I get this mental image of that green cartoon dragon with like the pink frickin' tuft of hair. And I'm like, oh, man. Big fat dragon.
Doofus. So
that's funny. Yeah.
Okay. So my rating for the movie. We got to start picking movies where I don't land in this world, or I need to.
We need bad movies. We got to start watching bad. I think next week maybe we'll have a bad movie. So
if you say Judge Dredd is a bad movie, we're not friends anymore.
Well, we'll see.
I would give this. It was an 8, 7.5 or an 8. That's where I'm going to live. I know I keep saying that, but it was a good movie. It's worth seeing. It's not a movie that I would say like don't spend your time on it. Like see it at least once because it was super funny. My wife is like excited to watch it, but that probably has more to do with Chris Pine. But like my wife was super stoked about this movie when it came out. When I told her we were watching it the other night, she was pissed because she wanted to watch it too. So she's gonna watch it tomorrow. Anyways,
well, good.
But yeah, that's what I got.
Man, it's a 9. That movie's a 9. I love that movie. I was so pleasantly surprised on the tone. It's very rewatchable. It's very entertaining in a lot of different ways. I mean, when the reviews came out for it and everybody was like, this movie's great. Critics and audiences both said it was great. It's a good movie. Yeah. I'm giving it a 9. I'm serious. Like, it's not perfect. Not a lot of movies are. You're gonna very hardly ever see me give out a 10. I could probably count on my hands how many movies I would give a 10 to. But it's a great movie, and I could watch it again right now, and I know I would love to watch it, and I'd sit there and be like, "This is awesome." That kind of movie. So I think go see it.
I think if I watched it again, it's just like Super Mario. Like I just watched Mario again, and like there were things that I was like, "Oh, I didn't even remember that," or like, "Oh, I didn't see that." Like that I kept saying, like, this is such a good movie. So
yeah, and you can. I feel comfortable saying kids could watch it. There's a couple scary parts, but nothing real bad. Like there's no language. There's no, it's pretty good. It's like I have no problem wanting Des watch it. So I think and he liked it. So and yeah, it's a good movie. Go see it. Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. Highly recommended.
Do it. Howie saw it 7 times in 1 month. That's got to be good.
Like 4, maybe 5.
All right, Howie, it's time.
Let's go. There can be only 5.
Only 5. All right, this is, I mean, I always say my most excited segment is 6 to Midnight, but this is probably my favorite segment.
Mine too.
Because we just have such random thoughts. This week's categories were way more difficult than I thought, at least when I picked. So I regret not. So I'm going to give you guys a sneak peek into how Howie and I operate. Howie, he gets his topic and annoys me to get my topic as soon as possible because he takes a week to sit down. He researches his topic. He researches his movies. He switches things around 10 times. He takes a week to really set that in stone.
Normally, yeah.
I shoot from the hip, baby. I'm gonna show up 5 minutes before I got to speak on stage. I haven't looked at the notes at all, and I'm gonna hit a home run. I sit down 10 minutes, 20 minutes right before the episode, and I go, I already know what movies I'm gonna do, and usually I'm pretty good with it. This week, I wish I would have taken more time because there are so many movies that could have fit in each of this category. But anyways, let's just jump in. People can judge us. I have the first topic. So for my top 5 movies, or my top 5 of this week, are top 5 high fantasy movie franchises. My thought process was like, we just watched Dungeons and Dragons. Like, let's do some movie topics that are like that. So like, this is, as I was doing my list, I was like, this is way harder than I thought because there are a lot of things that could qualify as high fantasy. Mm-hmm. But in my head, I was thinking like wizards, swords, horses, dragons, knights, like those are the types of movies. Like in my head, I wasn't like Star Wars could be in it, but Star Wars is totally high fantasy. Mm-hmm. So like I get a strong vibe. I get a strong feeling in the force that someone has Star Wars in theirs. But I went hardcore, like staying on the Dungeons and Dragons vibe. So
okay, but we're doing franchises, like not single
so movies or franchises. So like, because there's some that came out that there was just one movie, and then there was some that came out with a bunch. So yeah, okay. So franchises or movies, so that it makes it a little bit. So we're not basically doing Lord of the Rings for all 5 movies.
All right, so like we usually ask, how many are we going to have that are the same on this list? Just one?
For sure, 1, maybe 2. It just depends on how you marked it. Because
I'm going to go with 2.
2 could have been 1, if that makes sense. I feel like that probably already makes sense.
Oh, okay.
Let's
I know what you're saying.
Let's go number 5. This movie was awesome. Nobody talks about it. Nobody cares about it. 2004, King Arthur with Clive Owen.
Oh, that's a good movie. Yeah.
Such a good movie.
Yeah.
It was.
Jude Law? Is Jude Law in that?
Clive Owen's the main character. I don't remember.
Yes,
Jude Law might be the bad guy.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, that's a good movie. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Yeah.
That's a movie that like you could go back. I think Natalie Portman is in it as well.
I think it's Keira Knightley. I think
Keira Knightley. That's who.
Yeah,
it is.
it's the decoy. It's not Amidala. It's a decoy.
Yeah, it's very. It's like low key. It's like just a cool version of King Arthur. It's very self-contained. Like all the characters are great. The battles were freaking cool.
Maybe Jude Law was in the Charlie Hunnam one, the Guy Ritchie King Arthur. Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
I think that's more accurate because I don't remember Jude Law being in it. But like Merlin's in the movie. That they're like the tree forest people. Like it's just it's just a cool movie. So go back and watch it. If I just refreshed your memory on a good movie, I haven't seen it in years, but
yeah,
when I was going through this, I was like, oh, that's a movie that I loved. All right, my next franchise. This one, I loved these two movies that came out. Other people might have other feelings about it, but I enjoyed them. I liked seeing them in theaters. The Clash of the Titans and the Wrath of the Titans.
Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Sam Worthington, just a lot of fun in those movies. I'm a big fan of like the ancient Greece, like Greek god kind of stories. And so that, I mean, maybe that's not high fantasy, or maybe that's like on the border of it, but like that felt very like there's monsters, there's magic.
I mean, it's you would call that what, mythology, but yeah, I'm with you. Like that falls in, I think, because it checks all the boxes, and I think the first one was a really good movie. The second one was a little bit okay. Did you ever see the original from like, I don't know, like 1980?
No, I haven't seen the original, but I knew that they were based off of an older movie. So
yeah, it's actually it's really good. Actually, it's super like all the special. It's all stop motion animation. Like it's who was it? Was
yeah.
Ray Harryhausen did all that, and all the skeletons, and it's all it's cool. It's a cool movie though. For me,
I haven't seen the movie.
I have the Blu-ray of that one.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
we should, and when we get to season 5 of this show, we need
episode
to watch
421.
So yeah, I mean, those are. I feel like those are two movies or franchises that people, whoever's listening, is going to be like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. That's good.
Yeah.
All right, now we get into like everyone should have these in their top 3, top 2. Number 3, the Hobbit franchise. So like this is, the Hobbit, the Desolation of Smaug, and then the Battle of the 5 Armies. It's Peter Jackson, Lord of the Rings vibes, but it's more prequel stuff.
Yep.
I really liked these movies. I did feel like they went a little bit more hardcore on the CGI than the original trilogy, and they stretched basically one book out into 3 movies. That was maybe a little bit stretched, but still really fun. Like I love seeing them in theaters. I own all of them on Blu-ray. Watch them, maybe once a year, throw them on, or once a year, watch 1 or 2 of them. So I liked it. My number 2, this one I am probably the most proud of in my top 5, even though it's not my number 1, but I had to put this on my list. This was something that my mom had us watch when we were kids. It still holds up to this day. Willow.
Oh, yeah.
Willow.
It's a good movie
with Val Kilmer. They did just come out with a new, was it a show or a movie?
Yeah, it was a show.
It was a show on Disney Plus, which I haven't watched yet. I know my mom's going to kill me.
You need to watch it now. Did you hear about that? So Disney is like cutting a bunch of costs on their streaming service, and shows that nobody's watching, they're removing from the streaming service next week, and Willow's on the list.
What? Okay.
They're gonna like source them out to like Roku to carry on the Roku channel. They're basically trying to make money off these shows that nobody's watching on Disney Plus.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure
they already said they're not. They already said they're not doing a second season because nobody watched the first season. I didn't watch it and I feel bad.
Did you watch? I mean, obviously you watched the original movie, right?
Yeah, I love the original movie.
The original movie is like, it's such a nostalgia hit. It's such a like that was just, we liked it back in the day. But when they said they're coming out a new one, I was excited for it. But then I'm like, I don't really care about the show. But
I know it's the same. I had the same kind of feeling because it was like, listen, Warwick Davis is awesome. He's in like all these fantasy movies. He's in everything, right? Man Mardigan, though, you needed that character, and I'm sure they have somebody new in the new show, but I kind of was like, man, I don't feel the same because Val Kilmer's not Mad Mardiganing it in the show, so I didn't watch it. I wanted to. I guess I better try to do it this week, but I just don't think it's going to happen.
Val Kilmer was a better Batman than he gets credit for. I'll say it.
I don't disagree with that.
He dove into the psyche of that character in Bruce Wayne that a lot of people don't. So, anyways, okay. Number one, this is the number one high fantasy movie franchise of all time. You have it as your number one.
Yep.
It's Lord of the Rings. These movies are some of, if not the best trilogy like ever. Like, they're so good. I love them just straight, like the theatrical release versions that are like 2.5 hours. It wasn't till I was 24, 25 that I knew that there was extended editions that dropped, and they make the best, one of the best trilogy. It's hard to say the best when Star Wars is out there. They make the best trilogy of all time even better. So if you haven't seen the extended edition, you have to watch them. You'll need a full week of your life to do it because they are 7 hours long each. But Lord of the Rings, it's so good. The characters, Gandalf the Grey and the White, are just the best. The hobbits are hilarious. Orlando Bloom got his kickoff as Legolas. Gimli, the dwarf, like Gimli and Legolas's little banter as best friends, and they're counting up orcs as they're taking them out. Aragorn, the return of the king. Aragorn is the man. Like the franchise is perfect. It's perfect.
It's perfect.
So, but that's my top five.
I love it. I think it's great. There were some movies you've been listed on there I didn't even think of. You're absolutely right. I'll talk more about Lord of the Rings when I get to it on my list because it's on there. Yeah. All right. So my top 5 high fantasy franchises. So I didn't do any single movies. I said if it's a single movie, I'm not going to do it.
Oh, okay.
I'm doing franchises only. So it's got to have at least a couple movies. Number 5, I did How to Train Your Dragon.
Great franchise. We love it in our house.
The animated trilogy is fantastic. Each one of those movies is high quality. The voice acting is incredible. Jay Baruchel, Gerard Butler, they're all great. Everybody's great. The villains are all awesome. The whole storyline is fantastic. Awesome. The music,
so good.
Is so freaking good, especially in that first movie. How to Train Your Dragon is I've got a How to Train Your Dragon poster in my basement. That's how much I like those movies.
Dude, I think it's number 3 where because his mom is gone for the first 2 movies. Like, you think she's dead or whatever. Maybe it's in 2 or maybe it's in 3.
I think it's in 2.
But when Gerard Butler, the dad, finds out that she is alive, there's a scene where I can't remember. He's singing this song that she would remember, that she should know, but she thinks he's going to be pissed to find out that she left him and didn't come find him and tell him. And he there's a moment where he goes as if to see the one that he has loved forever for the first time, and completely disregards her being afraid that he'd be mad at her, to be I am so happy to have found you.
Yep.
I cry at that scene. It's so good.
Listen, these are cartoons. These are animated. These are fun movies. These are not just kids' movies. These are epic tales. They have loss. There's death. There's destruction. There's the bad guys in almost every movie are terrifying. There's this relationship between, Toothless, and I mean, like the relationship between the dragon and Hiccup it's great. And then at the end of the third one, and they kind of like fast forward in time and they tie it all up, and it's like, it's amazing. It's great.
Yes.
It's a great franchise. Number 4, I did Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh,
as a franchise.
Nice. I love them.
I love Pirates of the Caribbean. They have trailed off significantly as they've gone on.
For sure.
That first movie is, that's a home run. The
Curse
of the Black Pearl is an instant classic. I like the original trilogy. I thought Dead Man's Chest was super cool. World's End, I thought was super cool. Like, listen, I thought that whole original trilogy was just an epic.
The first 3 were awesome.
I agree. The fourth one was okay. The fifth one was meh. But I could watch Captain Jack Sparrow though as a character all the time. Like Johnny Depp knocked it out of the park with that character. So it's good. Iconic now. I mean, like you go to they added him to the ride at Disney World. It's awesome. Pirates of the Caribbean, I think, is great high fantasy.
I think Davy Jones was also just an incredible bad guy. Just
Bill Nye is an awesome actor. He's super underrated, and he was so great in that role. You are right.
It kind of felt like like they did the movie version of Thanos, like chasing after to make like death happy as love.
You're dead on, right?
Like
Calypso,
so good.
And he's very imposing. He's very intimidating. He's a great villain. The stories, they're great movies. The cast is awesome. It's Pirates of the Caribbean. Number 3, and this one I'm surprised you didn't have on your list because I consider this high fantasy because it kind of checks all the boxes. It's Harry Potter.
I thought about it. I had it getting ready to put on the list, and then I thought, there's no swords in it. There's cars. I'm moving on.
Yeah,
but I did think about it.
I mean, like, listen, the sword of Godric Gryffindor. I mean, we're stabbing the basilisk. We're, killing the Horcruxes. It's very heavily magic. Obviously, they're fighting with wands, but there's this whole world. We've got trolls. We've got, giant spiders. We've got all this different stuff. It's definitely high fantasy. There's,
You're right.
And Harry Potter as a franchise is one of the, most biggest budget, most recognizable franchises in all of movie history, especially of the last 20 years. Harry Potter had to be somewhere on the list. Number 2, I put Star Wars as a franchise. I put it number 2. It's space, but it's high fantasy. Like we're sword fighting. You can Jedis or wizards at the same time. Like, the Force is magic. I don't care what anybody says.
Samurai wizards.
It's essentially what it is. We've got monsters. A Rancor's like a dragon or a troll or a combination of the two. We've got all those things. I think it checks the boxes of high fantasy. Obviously, Star Wars is one of the greatest franchises of all time. Maybe I would have put it at number 1 on a different list. But because we're talking about specifically high fantasy, it's Lord of the Rings. And I put Hobbit with Lord of the Rings because I didn't put them as 2 separate franchises. That's on me. It's one giant to me.
I kind of did that to give me an extra, thing to put on the list.
That's fine. That's good. But Lord of the Rings is number 1. You hit every nail on the head when you were talking about it. I completely agree with everything you said. You touched on greatest trilogies in movie history. Man, I mean, I know that's a list that I've written down as something I want to do someday. It'll be number 1. I'm not going to give it away. It's 3 perfect films. Listen, the original Star Wars trilogy, the first one's great. The second one's great. I think Return of the Jedi is like, if the first 2 are 5 out of 5 stars, Return of the Jedi is a 4. In my opinion, it's, like when we did the top 5 Star Wars movies, Jedi didn't make my list. It's not that I don't like the movie. It's just, I felt that there were 4 other movies that were better, right? Like that kind of thing. Lord of the Rings, 1, 2, like Fellowship, 2 Towers, Return of the King. They're all perfect movies. Think about the awards they won and were nominated for. It's the what Peter Jackson did is nothing short of stupendous.
Yeah.
They're great. They're perfection. I don't think they could have done anything better.
Out of those 3 movies, I think I know the answer, but The one that's watched the most is The Two Towers because of the Battle of Helm's Deep. Am I right on that?
I think that's probably the best scene in the entire trilogy. Listen, I'm gonna kind of talk about both sides of my mouth here. As much as I think Empire Strikes Back is the best Star Wars movie, the only thing about Two Towers is like it's the middle bridge, right? Like it's not we're not setting everything up. It's the middle bridge, and then Return of the King wraps everything up together so perfectly, and everything through Mordor and Mount Doom and all that is just amazing. And like, yeah, Two Towers might be the better movie. It might be. But again, I think they're all they're all tens. It's you're nitpicking if you say one's better than the other. Like, yes, is Helm's Deep probably the coolest freaking part of all three of those movies combined? Yeah, probably is. There's no doubt about it, right? But as a trilogy, I don't think how you could ever say anything's better, because like I said, I feel like Jedi has a little flaw to it.
Yeah.
Maybe a little.
I can see that.
You know what I mean?
See that from
it's. I mean, because I don't think everybody would agree that Return of the Jedi is the worst out of the three, right? Wouldn't you think? I mean, other than...
I think I honestly look at A New Hope and Return of the Jedi as kind of on the same, like equally good. I liked because that was when it was like we finally are getting Jedi Luke Skywalker. So for me, Return of the Jedi was cool because
that's fair.
Jabba's palace, he does his thing, and then the battle, especially now that I'm older and can like really understand like what was being fought for with Darth Vader and between a son and a father, and like, throwing his lightsaber away, which surprisingly, we're talking about Luke Skywalker throwing away a lightsaber in a movie being horrible. But in this movie, when he throws it away, I won't fight you. I'd rather die, and that ends up redeeming and saving his father. So I don't think you're saying that Jedi is a bad movie. This is
not at all.
Like in terms of talking about a trilogy, that's weak compared.
I feel like if you asked like 9 people out of 10, which one out of the original Star Wars trilogy, which one's the weakest link, I think they would say Jedi. I just think that would be the answer. I think if you ask 10 people, Lord of the Rings, which one's the weakest one, I think you might get different answers. I think you're going to get 3 of this, 3 of this, and 4 of that. That's my opinion. Because I think they're so close. That's all I'm trying to say by that. But that's my top 5 high fantasy. I could talk about Lord of the Rings for hours if we wanted to.
Facts. I like your list. I agree with them. There was things on there that I was like, oh, I probably should have had that on mine. I did think of Harry Potter. I didn't put it on my list, but it was one that I was like, oh, that should or could. That kind of fell into the Star Wars world where I'm like, it's high fantasy. It should or could be. But
I mean, if you think about it, like you think about like Pirates of the Caribbean is like 17th century high fantasy, and then Harry Potter's like 20th century. It's just they're all kind of different in different places.
By no means do I think 2004 King Arthur is better than Star Wars or Harry Potter in terms of different movie franchises. But
you had different rules.
I put some rules down this time. So
all
right, let's jump into our other top 5.
So my top 5 this week, we did movies that deserved a sequel, right? We had just done that one, which I thought was a great subject. So I thought we should do what we think are the worst sequels ever made. Right. And I didn't go just second movies. I did any kind of sequel in a franchise. Right. Like, so the way I kind of based mine on is like the first movie's awesome. And maybe the second one or maybe the third one or the fourth one are dog shit. And like, like, because there are franchises out there where they made a really great first movie or a really great second movie. And then like somewhere down, they kept making them. And then there's just a giant turd somewhere on the line. So there's a little bit of that going on here, and some of them are just sequels, and you're like, what are you doing? So I didn't, so my rules are kind of all over the place, but it's I'll explain each one while I do it. So number 5, worst sequels of all time, Pacific Rim Uprising. I had it number 5. So the first Pacific Rim, Guillermo del Toro, Charlie Hunnam, Idris Elba. I love that movie so much. It's like one of those movies. Good. Like you're just watching giant robots beat the shit out of giant monsters, and
which was everything I wanted as a kid.
Yes.
Like Godzilla,
yes,
giant Power Ranger,
yeah,
Megazords. Like, if that movie, I loved that movie. I thought it was great. If that
yeah,
movie would have came out in my childhood, it probably would have been like
yes,
one of my favorite movies of all time.
yeah.
So,
It's a great movie. It's one of those things like I would say like you need to see Pacific Rim Uprising. That's a Pacific Rim poster from when you saw it at midnight in AMC theaters. I love that movie. And then they came out with the sequel, and John Boyega's the main character. He's Idris Elba's son. Idris Elba obviously died in the first one, and then Scott Eastwood's in it, and it's dog shit. I didn't like it. I was so mad at that movie. I didn't like the things they changed. I didn't like the characters. I didn't like the story. They got rid of Charlie Hunnam. He was great.
yes, I
he
think he
listen.
gets a bad rap.
He does. He gets a bad rap because sometimes his acting's a little like he has a hard time with his accents or something. Like it comes across kind of goofy. But man, like that's not good.
His Jax Teller in Sons of Anarchy is a perfect character. He does such a great job.
I like the guy. I love that movie. The second one I was so mad at it.
It's horrible.
So that's number 5. Number 4, A Good Day to Die Hard.
I saw that on some other lists. I saw that.
Listen,
that's probably
like
1 hour.
We've talked about Die Hard and how much I enjoyed Die Hard. I love Die Hard. I thought Die Hard 2 was great. Die Hard with a Vengeance is better than the second one. It's not as good as the first, but it's a great movie. Die Hard 4, which was Live Free or Die Hard. That's the one with Justin Long and like the cyber attacks. That's a fun movie. Timothy Olyphant is the bad guy. The problem was when that one came out, it was PG-13. And like, so you have to get like the unrated version for that to be a good movie, because otherwise you don't get like the yippee-ki-yay, you don't get it. And like, there's more violence and blood and stuff, but that's a good movie. It's not as good as the first 3. It's a good movie. Then they came out with A Good Day to Die Hard, and it's garbage.
Hot garbage.
I'm so mad. I hate that movie so much. It's trash. Okay, that's number 4. Number 3.
I'm looking at my list and I'm like, man, I wish I would have put movies on here that really make me angry.
these are all bad. Number 3. Listen, like the first one wasn't the first one we've talked about on this podcast before. It's a video game adaptation. We both love it. It came out when we were kids. So number 3 is one of the worst movies ever made in history. It's Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
I knew you were going to say that.
It's garbage.
I saw that on a bunch of lists. The ending is horrible. However,
it's terrible.
I liked it because it did better than the first movie in adding more Mortal Kombat characters. That's all I will say. It is not a good movie. But the ending is horrible. The animality thing at the end is weird.
And then the recastings and like the recast Raiden. Listen, like I can't remember the actor's name that took over for Christopher Lambert, but he's like the guy from like 48 Hours. Anyway, he's not bad. His name's on the tip of my tongue, but I don't remember. The guy that they cast as Shao Kahn is terrible.
I was going to say, I was so disappointed because Shao Kahn's one of my favorite, if not he's my favorite bad guy.
He's like one of those actors.
He was horrible.
He's like one of those actors that plays like the muscular henchman in a 90s shitty action movie. And like, they made him Shao Kahn. Like, get out of here with that crap.
It is a 90s shitty action movie. So
but he's the main bad guy. Like, come on.
Yeah. He looks like Shao Kahn.
And then they recast Johnny Cage and they kill him immediately.
So dumb. So dumb.
Anyway, so dumb. Mortal Kombat Annihilation. It's one of the worst movies ever. It's trash.
I saw that on some lists. I did see that.
Number 2, when I was a teenager, listen, this was one of my favorite movies. It was the first movie I ever saw like in the theater multiple times. And so then like they make a sequel 20 years later, Independence Day Resurgence.
Oh, I saw that on the list too. So bad, but we were so excited for it.
I was so excited for it. I loved that first movie so much. It was the first movie. It was the first movie I ever bought on DVD, ever. Like I went to Walmart, paid like $300 for a DVD player, and bought that DVD. I bought that and Armageddon were the first movies I ever bought on DVD.
Oh, what a
And
classic.
I love that movie so much.
Armageddon.
And they ruined it. And they set up the story for a third movie. You ruined the franchise because that second movie was so bad.
Yeah. I agree. I thought it was going to be so good. I was really happy that they were doing that, and then it sucked.
That's so disappointing. Okay, so number 1 on my list, I'm going to give some preface to this because it's the 4th movie in a franchise. The first movie is one of the greatest movies that's ever made. It's a 10, in my opinion. The second one was okay. The third one was super cheesy. And the fourth one is probably the worst movie ever made. The first one is arguably the greatest movie ever made, if not one of. It's on my top 5 list of greatest movies of all time. And the fourth one is possibly the worst movie of all time. And that's why it's on this list. Even though it's the 4th movie in a franchise, it's so bad. It's such a fall from grace. Number 1, Jaws: The Revenge.
Oh my God. I knew that was going to be on your list. I knew
Listen, Jaws is a perfect movie. The original Jaws is a perfect movie. It's one of the greatest movies in history. Top 5, no doubt in my book. It's a 10. Jaws: The Revenge is the biggest piece of crap that you could make and put a sequel name on it, especially to an iconic classic like Jaws. Listen, Jaws 2 is basically the first movie with a little bit different story. Jaws 3 was like the 3D one with the like underwater, like the underwater place. It's goofy, right? And then the 4th one is just terrible. That's a terrible movie. I don't know how they got Michael Caine's in that movie. I don't know how they got him money. They basically just gave him money.
Honestly, your top 5 list, a lot of the ones that you had were what, because, like you said, we usually Google just to see what other people have and see if we're close. And I feel like you covered like 3 or 4 that were on generally all, like Jaws is on everyone's list.
It's Mortal Kombat's on a lot of lists.
Mortal Kombat Annihilation was another one that's on a lot. So yeah, I love that. And I agree with it. Just for sake of time, I'm going to jump into mine. Those movies were horrible that you talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Some of my movies do make me angry. Some of them, they were just bad. Classic me, I had different movies in that I moved things around.
Mm-hmm.
My 3 honorable mentions, I will give no details about it, but I'm going to say their names. The Fantastic Beasts franchise.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
Dumb and Dumberer, the movie, not the one with Jim Carrey, even though the new one with Jim Carrey was bad, but the one
the prequel
recast them, horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had one more honorable mention, Speed 2, which was on, I saw a lot of lists, but Speed 2 on the freaking cruise ship. How do we get Keanu Reeves badass Speed, where he's like this badass SWAT team guy? And then we get this stupid
Jason Patric
cruise ship. Is just horrible.
Get out.
Terrible. So those are my honorable mentions of top 5 horrible. Number 5. This movie, I wanted to be so good. I fucking loved the first one. I just realized now I did not have it on my top 5. I think maybe I mentioned it as a honorable mention, but Sin City 2 was fucking horrible.
A Dame to Kill For. Sequel. You're right. That compared to the first one,
bad.
Oh,
they literally. So Clive Owen is the main character in the first one. His character. They come up with this weird bullshit story that he gets like plastic surgery to then look like, who's the guy who plays Thanos?
Josh Brolin.
Thanos. So Josh Brolin comes in and they make freaking the main character switch over to I'm pretty sure it's Josh Brolin as the guy.
I don't even remember.
Literally, it's supposed to be the same character from Sin City 1 is now Josh Brolin.
Right.
And they give some backstory of like plastic surgery, but it was horrible. It should have been good because it had, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, there's 2 movies on my list that have the same girl in it. The bad guy that's in that movie, you'll remember what her name is as I get this to my next movie.
I have blocked that movie from memory because it was so bad.
Dude, it was so horrible. Terrible movie. And that pissed me off because I loved the first one so bad.
Love it.
I wanted it to be good. Number 4. Number 1, or this is the third movie in this franchise. Third movie. The first one is a seminal classic. And the main actor has had a resurgence this year, so much so that he won Best Actor.
I have a guess. I think I know what it is. Yeah. Before you said that, I know what it is.
My number 4 worst sequel ever, The Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. Man, how do we get Rick O'Connell as one of the coolest, most badass, most suave, debonair dudes in The Mummy 1, and then boom, we get The Mummy Returns with freaking The Rock in it, Scorpion King, badass movie. And then we get this dog shit, The Mummy fucking Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. With Jet Li, you'd think it would be great. They recast the wife, and for whatever reason, everything fell apart because of that. It sucked.
You know what else I didn't like? Like, The Mummy Returns, the kid worked. It worked as the kid. The fucking grown-up kid was dumb.
Yeah, he was a little smug jackass.
Yeah, he's funny. He was entertaining. He's like, whatever.
Yeah, he was. I liked it. I thought the kid was funny. Yeah,
grown up. Go.
Which, think of this, like if someone were to say, like, dude, they're doing a new movie theater like sequel to the original Mummy, like Rick O'Connell's back, she's back, I would be on board for that. Just like 100%. I'm on board for Tomb Raider, or not Tomb Raider, Indiana Jones. But man, we all forget that horrible ass movie lives in that franchise.
Yeah.
That was my number 4. My number 3 horrible sequel, 300 Rise of an Empire.
Oh yeah.
What a shitty ass movie.
Man, you're coming after
the coolest movies.
Coming after Frank Miller, huh?
Oh yeah, shit. I guess Frank Miller. So Frank Miller doing that movie. Well, Frank Miller, in terms of comic book, I guess he did help.
He did Sin City and 300, right?
Yes, but I don't know if he had anything to do on the sequels. So, but the main bad guy in 300 Rise of an Empire is also the bad guy girl in Sin City 2. And she is a good bad guy, but these movies suck. So 300, I love the first one. It's like any college football game I ever had, that movie was watched on the bus on the way to the game. It was such a disappointment. Okay, number 2. These next 2 movies we've actually talked about a few times on the pod. Number 2, worst sequel ever, Batman and Robin. It pains me to put Batman movie on here. But going from, because it counts as a sequel.
It was Eva Green.
That's her name. Okay, yeah, she's horrible. She's not horrible. She's a great actress.
I couldn't even remember who it was.
Those 2 movies that she's in, she's horrible. She's a great bad guy. She makes it. She's like mean and scary, and she's perfect. But anyways, so Batman and Robin is technically a sequel to Batman 1989, and Batman Returns, and obviously direct sequel to Batman Forever. But man, it was so bad. As a kid, I didn't hate it, but like now looking back, like for what it does to the Batman franchise and just Batman as a character, it's so underserving. I don't even think that's a good way to say it, but like it's such a disservice to the character.
It is,
and to the franchise. So,
and listen, it's just a couple things on that movie, because we've never talked about Batman and Robin on the podcast before, but I'm sure we both have very detailed thoughts on it.
Mention it at some point.
I think we mentioned. I think one time I said something about Batman Forever, and I said I won't even mention the 4th movie, and I think that was the only reference. Listen, there's a lot of talented actors in that movie, and none of them did a good job. None of them, not a single one. I would almost say, out of all of them, Arnold was the best.
Yeah, chill. I actually didn't have a problem with Arnold's Mr. Freeze. So,
well, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger playing Mr. Freeze. It's not Mr. Freeze. He's playing Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah, I mean, that's the deal.
100%. It was a different direction. They went more. It was like all of a sudden, I mean, Batman Forever was kind of in the middle of like, all right, we're coming from this like serious franchise, so now we're going to be a little bit more campy because McDonald's is the biggest supporter of this thing, and we gave them the scariest, most, we hate kids movie with Batman Returns, so they had to do Batman Forever a little bit more happy. And then they went straight like 1960s freaking
almost,
let's just be funny, goofy. And he pulls out a freaking Batman credit card. Get out of here. Get out of here with that stupid shit.
Batnips.
Yeah. And they made Bane like he looked like Bane, but they made him a big dumb oaf.
Yeah. You could argue he looks more like Bane than Tom Hardy did. But it's a joke.
I will say Pamela Isley, Poison Ivy in that movie. That's all I'll say. Okay. Also, there's just, sorry, I was going to say something of like, it's actually not in Batman Robinson, Batman Forever, where like Batman says like, it's the car, like chicks dig the car. Like, and that was a line that I'm just like, we can't do this. So anyways, I'm getting way off track. Number 2. Fine. All right. Here's my biggest gripe, my biggest worst sequel ever. My big regret that we recorded 2 episodes in one day. We posted a short that went a little bit viral about this, and I had blocked so much of this movie out that I forgot how much I hate it until after I listened to us talk about it. Star Wars The Last Jedi is the worst sequel ever. One of my buddies and I, we were going back and forth on it because like when I left that movie, we went to an early movie. It was really weird that we did that, but we went to an early movie in the morning and then we all went to breakfast after. And we were just like sitting at breakfast, kind of looking at each other like, that wasn't good, right? Like we didn't like that. I did not. And then like the floodgates open. Like everything about that movie was horrible. The whole, the longest chase scene of all time, but then we're going to send people over to this casino planet to find someone to be a code breaker, which didn't end up having to do with anything ever. They specifically, the things that made The Force Awakens so great was that we thought Rey was a Kenobi. We didn't know who she was, but that was the biggest, like, I think Rey might be a Kenobi. And who is, Snoke? Snoke is someone powerful. There's more to the story. And then this freaking jackass comes in and specifically goes, I don't want to do what they were doing with that. So I'm going to go out of my way to point out that those are not a big thing. Like immediately kill Snoke in the first like 10 minutes. Like super easy peasy, gives no backstory. It's like, nope, I know you guys have been waiting 2 years to ask who Snoke is, but it doesn't matter. He's dead. Also, Rey is nobody important. Boom. There that goes. So like those were horrible. The stupid casino thing was dumb. The biggest travesty in cinema history is what they did with Luke Skywalker.
Sure.
He is his character from the original trilogy is like literally he saves the worst, most evil villain of all time in Darth Vader, redeems him because he sees that there's always something better to do. Like there's always a better way. And for him to then become this curmudgeon, like recluse hermit that's angry at the world is so not Luke Skywalker, who Luke Skywalker is probably like one of the greatest heroes, like greatest good guy, Captain America, heroes can do no wrong vibes ever. So that movie, when we talked about it the other 2 weeks ago, when we videoed, I had blocked that movie out of my mind because I only watched it maybe twice. The second time just to confirm that I wasn't crazy the first time. And man, I know we had a clip that said it's not a bad movie, it's a bad Star Wars movie. I thought it was a horrible movie altogether.
Okay.
I'm sorry for getting upset, but I just feel so strongly about The Last Jedi. It was so bad. Worst sequel ever of all time.
Yeah. I'm with you. You're good. You're good, man. Listen, I obviously talked about that movie. I got a lot of shit for what I said about that movie because I was the one that said I don't think it's a bad movie. I just think it's shit for Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
Like they shit all over Star Wars. Listen, fine, it's a bad movie. That's fine. I didn't think it was as a bad movie. I made one of the most egregious purchases I've ever made is before that movie came out, I bought a poster. There's this awesome one sheet. And it's like all red, and it's like half of Luke's face,
the red,
and it's got Rey like with the lightsaber in the middle, like very old school vibe poster. And I put that, and I was hanging right there for forever. And then that movie came out, and I was like, I got to take that shit down, man. I can't have that up. And listen, I don't disagree with what it did to the Star Wars franchise because it did so much damage that you couldn't fix the ninth movie.
Yes.
And listen, I've said this before. Rise of Skywalker to me is a horrible movie. Like I think it's worse than The Last Jedi movie wise, but I realize that all the bad things that happened to Rise of Skywalker are because of The Last Jedi.
Because of that movie.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, when we talked about Star Wars in tiers, like we know what the last tier is. It's those two movies. They're by far the worst.
Yes.
It's not even close. Like they when there's been chatter that Disney's going to retcon the sequel trilogy because of what it did to the characters.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody would have an issue with that. I just don't know how you pull that off.
It's a bummer to see clips of like Rey, the actress,
Daisy Ridley,
Daisy Ridley, in interviews, like when they ask her, John Boyega, freaking Kylo Ren, when they ask them like what they think of the movies or their time there, they don't talk about it fondly, and which is it's such a bummer. It's so sad because could you imagine getting to be a freaking character in Star Wars, and then now
we talk about. No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying now, it ended up because of that one movie, all of them are now looked at badly. But like we talked about last week, when you put Force Awakens in its own bubble, it's fucking awesome. And could have kicked off an awesome trilogy.
It should have. But that's what I was going to say we've talked about this before, but like when Disney bought Lucasfilm and they said, we're going to make more Star Wars movies, we want to do this. And we got Force Awakens and we got Rogue One. So hopeful. So much hope. Like that they were going to do all the right things. Mm-hmm. They were going to do all the right things with Star Wars. Listen, they made 2 god-awful movies. 2 bad Star Wars movies, right? Like we know that. And they're so bad that everybody's mad Disney has the rights to Lucasfilm, right? Yes. Because they're so bad. But they, we forget sometimes the good things that did come out of that. Like, listen, Force Awakens is a great movie. We talked about that. The Mandalorian's fantastic, right? The shows have all been great. Even the cartoon ones that, you've talked about some of the stuff with like Count Dooku and Visions is cool. And Ahsoka's coming out and we know they're going to be good because of who's involved with them. We know that for a fact. Yeah. I would say Last Jedi is probably the most catastrophic atomic weapon that's been dropped on a movie franchise.
Yes. Facts. I would agree with that. So
yeah, that's exactly. I can't disagree with it because I said what I said. I can't take it back, and I'm not gonna. But I understand and I agree with the impact that movie made.
For sure.
100%. It's a crime against humanity.
It is. We've said our piece.
We said our
I
piece.
that's a weight off my shoulder. I've been carrying it for 2 weeks.
You've been cleansed.
This house is clear.
You were man, the way you talked about that though was I get it. I get how it made you feel.
There's some passion in there, man. Jeez. Yeah. I need to chill out, nerd. Like that's all my wife would say if she heard that.
That was some good stuff. That was great. Listen, that was quality. There could be only 5 content right there. I was thinking about this the other day. Like when we did Guardians of the Galaxy, we did top 5 Marvel movies. We did top 5 Star Wars. They were almost boring because they're easy. You know what I mean? Like they're easy.
Yeah.
They're easy to do. I'm not saying like they're easy lists to come up with, but it's like that's the kind of stuff that people talk about and yada.
All the time. We do
categories like this. Yeah, we do categories like this where we didn't have any of the same movies. And but I don't disagree with any of yours. You didn't disagree with any of mine. They're all dog shit. When you talked about Sin City and 300, I was like, I forgot those movies existed because I don't even think about them, right? Like I block them from memory. They're so bad. Yeah. And Last Jedi, everybody thinks about it because polarizing. And like I said, it's an atomic bomb on probably the greatest franchise in cinema history, like on one of, for sure.
Yeah. Yep.
And what it did. So, hey, awesome. Good stuff. I love it.
Good episode.
And, yeah. They're all good episodes. But you're right when we talk about there can be only 5. The fact that we don't know what we're going to talk about and the way these lists come out and the way we get to talk about them, like it's good stuff. I mean, yeah, it's great.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. That brings us to the end of episode 7 of the Movie Dads podcast. The big premiere. You need to see this movie, Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves.
Go watch it.
Go watch that movie. I gave it a 9. Kyle gave it an 8. Highly recommend you see it. And it's a movie that I would like to see lead into a high fantasy franchise. And so I've heard they're talking about doing a TV show, like a streaming show of it, a continuation. The writer and director came out and said, like, listen, we didn't make this movie to do a franchise, but we think we could tell more stories in that world. So maybe it won't all be the same characters, but we could tell more stories. So hopefully that gets the chance. I think it's broke even at the box office. It probably still needs to make some money to get a sequel in development, but obviously the critical reception, audience reception has been very positive. So that's good.
Yeah.
If you're watching us on YouTube, like and subscribe, give us a comment, tell us what you think. Give us your worst sequels of all time. I'd love to hear that stuff for sure.
I want to see the comments because we missed movies. I know you're all thinking like there's 1 or 2 or 5. Give us your list or give us your number ones of worst sequels ever.
There's a lot.
Top 5.
I mean, I didn't give any honorable mentions, but I can think of a couple Terminator movies I should put on that list.
Oh, I thought about it. I was casually telling my wife on my way down. I'm like, any Terminator movie that's not Terminator 1, 2, or Salvation are horrible movies. So
and you and I've talked about that too. Like Salvation gets a terrible rap, but I think after the first 2, it's the best movie. I agree. Yeah. I think it's better than everything else.
Give me more Christian Bale, John Connor. Post-apocalyptic.
I don't get the crap that movie gets, but if you're listening to us on a podcast service, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Podcast Index. You can find us there. Give us a listen. Give us a like. Give us a subscribe. Find us on social media on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at Movie Dads Pod. I'm Howie. That's Kyle. We're going to be back next week. Episode 8. We're going to do a version of I Can't Believe You Haven't Seen It. I know I've seen this movie. I remember zero about it.
Travesty.
The 1995 Sylvester Stallone Judge Dredd. I don't remember anything about this movie. I remember Armand Assante, Sylvester Stallone, and I'm pretty sure Diane Lane's in it. I don't remember anything about the movie other than that.
Diane Lane is in it. It is a great fucking movie, and I cannot wait.
It's almost like when you were talking about Sin City, A Dame to Kill For. I don't remember anything about that movie whatsoever because I think it's so bad I blocked it from memory. Hopefully, I can give
Rob
a rating.
Schneider's in it. You didn't even throw Rob Schneider some love for Judge Dredd. Rob Schneider is
He's in that too.
Yeah, he's like the main quirky sidekick.
Is he in Demolition Man?
No,
he's in Demolition Man too. He's one of the cops. He's one of the cops.
Oh yeah, you're right. He is, but he's the main sidekick.
I just got Rob Schneider blended together in 2 movies with Sylvester Stallone. One I remember completely. The other one I can't even tell you anything about. So we'll be back next week with 1995's Judge Dredd. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. See you next week.
Bye.